Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. And you can watch this program on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's Radyo Pilipinas World Service. And this program can also be heard on the following shortwave frequencies. That's 9.475 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo. The Philippines has a very interesting history of being warm and hospitable to nationals afflicted of certain circumstances. The prominent one was the institutionalization of the open door policy way back in 1937 during the Philippine Commonwealth presidency of Manuel Quezon, when the world was on the brink of a destructive global war and closed its doors to Jewish people. The said proclamation became the basis on the enactment of the Commonwealth Act 613, which eventually became the foundation of the Philippine Immigration Act of 1940, which is still in force up to this day. And since its inception in the 1940s, the Bureau of Immigration is the leading agency in implementing rules and regulation of the Philippines' visa policies. Additionally, the Bureau enforces immigration laws, including citizenship and alien admission and registration. And in modern times, where technology is rapidly advancing and the movement of people is freer, where does the immigration stand, and how the Immigration Bureau is developing plans to make the Philippines more friendly for immigrants, which can be translated into economic and national development? And lastly, how the immigration is faring in dealing with transnational crimes involving foreign fugitives. All these will be on the table together with the Bureau of Immigration with its spokesperson, Ms. Dana Sandoval. Ms. Dana Sandoval, the spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration. Thank you so much for joining us in the program.
Good day, Jerome. Thank you for the invite
Okay, so let me start.
and the opportunity to share updates about the Bureau.
Okay, thank you so much, and the pleasure is ours. So, first question is, how is the Bureau of Immigration is faring on implementation of immigration laws in the country, particularly in relation to human traffickers and undesirable aliens? So, what are we on right now, Miss Dana?
Well, I think, Sir Jerome, we're doing very well, particularly in terms of coordination with other government agencies. Because now, if you've noticed, it's not just the Bureau of Immigration that's locating and arresting illegal aliens, because we know that particularly the illegal pogo industry has been
Mm-hmm.
flourishing for a long time, and uh, the support of other government agencies, local government units is very important. And now we see that we see a collective action against illegal aliens. I think it's good that we have incited the action
Mm-hmm.
of both the public sector and the private individuals who are now actively reporting illegal aliens in their area. These are very important partnerships with the Bureau in to better locate and arrest these illegal aliens, given that we are in an archipelago,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a need to really get information from all islands of the Philippines.
Uh, can you tell me the mechanisms of the Bureau to at least address these or to receive these information coming from the citizens?
We do have several channels in which our citizens can report illegal aliens. They can do it formally. They can file a formal complaint against a
Mm-hmm.
foreign national by filing a case against them with the Bureau of Immigration.
Mm-hmm.
They can also submit tips or
Yeah.
information, anonymous information, through our intelligence division, also through the bureau. And we do have online portals. We have our Facebook pages,
Mm-hmm.
facebook.com/official Bureau of Immigration, and the Commissioner's Helpline, facebook.com/immigration.helpline.ph, where they can send information about illegal aliens, activities of foreign nationals in the country, foreign pedophiles and sex tourists. They can send it through our online portals, so they can submit their tips or information anonymously,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be sure to act on it. One thing that we are prioritizing now, Jerome, apart from the illegal online gambling
Mm-hmm.
workers,
Yeah.
are foreign pedophiles and sex tourists that might be trying to enter the Philippines in the guise of being regular tourists,
Mm-hmm.
but are really here to abuse the vulnerable. And so far, our campaign against these pedophiles, these sex tourists, have been working for the last month. We have
Mm-hmm.
stopped at least 7 attempts of these pedophiles to enter the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines. And we have been receiving tips here and there. And we have a partnership with the Center for Welfare of Children in
Correct.
creating a helpline for tips also on foreign pedophiles. So it's the partnership with other government agencies is really really important, and it allows us to have more channels, more portals to be able to submit information about illegal aliens in the country.
Okay. Can you tell me what are the countries where those foreign pedophiles are coming from?
In our statistics, I don't have the exact statistics right now, but in
Mm-hmm.
our data, the top most nationality would be the Americans. There
Mm-hmm.
is a handful of British citizens, Australians.
Mm-hmm.
There are there are also some Australians there. So those are some of the nationalities that we have intercepted, that are
Mm-hmm.
that we have information on their sex registry, because some countries have uh, a registered sex
Mm-hmm.
offender
Right.
database,
Mm-hmm.
which they share with us, and they inform us if there is someone from that database who will attempt to enter, or who is entering,
Mm-hmm.
or who is inside already the Philippines. And through
Mm-hmm.
that information, we are able to do the necessary action, whether it be stop them from entering the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
or get them from where they are here in the country and throw them out of the Philippines.
Okay, and there's a coordination from the agency that handles the registry of sex offenders to your Bureau of Immigration. Is that correct, Miss Dana?
We have close coordination with our
Okay.
foreign counterparts. So these are the immigration agencies in different countries. They send us prior information about sex offenders, even fugitives from justice that might be trying to enter the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So they give us that information, and we work on that information in locating and arresting these undesirable aliens that we consider, particularly those pedophiles. We are considering them as the worst kind of undesirable aliens that could enter our country.
Okay. I would like to go back to the POGO workers. So I would like to ask how many foreign POGO workers are left in this country. So, and at the same time, I would like to ask this: would they be out of the country before the year end? Because as we know, President Marcos Jr. Has given a deadline to all Pogo operators, or yeah, to all Pogos to cease their operation before the year ends. So, what's the status of this, Miss Dana?
Yes, Jerome, that deadline is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
They only have until December 31 of this year to leave the country legally. Because if they entered here legally, they worked here legally, we hope and we expect that they also follow the new direction of the national government and
Mm-hmm.
leave the country before December 31 after closing down their shops, closing down their operations here in the Philippines. So far, out of the more than 33,000, Jerome, na, online gaming workers here in the Philippines that have their working visas, we have downgraded around 18,000 or
Mm.
16,000 of these, and a majority of them have already left the country. So we're expecting maybe around 9,000 left
Mm-hmm.
to leave the country in the next few weeks after December 31. That's why we are really encouraging them to do it now, because
Mm-hmm.
if they leave the country legally, they stay here legally, they leave the country legally, then they will not be blacklisted. They would have an opportunity, if they
Mm-hmm.
wish to return to the Philippines, to do some other work or business here, not in the pogo industry, or if
Mm-hmm.
they have families here, they
Mm-hmm.
have children here, because we heard, Jerome, that there are a lot of them who already have families here in the Philippines after staying here for so
Mm-hmm.
long. Then, if they're not blacklisted, they still have an opportunity to do that and apply for the appropriate visa. But if they do not comply with the regulation of leaving after December 31, then sad to say, they would be blacklisted, meaning they will be perpetually banned from re-entering the country.
Mm. Okay. So, on border patrol, Miss Dana. So, I'd like to ask this because, as we know, many Filipinos are still using the backdoor channel option or mechanism to
Mm-hmm.
try to enter, for example, Malaysia or Indonesia illegally. So, how are we coordinating with law enforcement agencies to ensure that no Filipinos or no individuals are able to enter and exit the country illegally?
Mm-hmm. Jerome, that's really the difficulty of our country. It's a beautiful archipelago with 7,100 plus
Mm-hmm.
islands, but the difficulty in that is it means we have 7,100 plus islands also to look after, and
Mm-hmm.
shorelines to watch over. And being an archipelago means there are so many areas wherein people can exit the country
Mm-hmm.
without the inspection of the proper authorities. That's why we've seen this happen with trafficking victims in the past, and
Yeah.
now we've been seeing it with some high profile individuals.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have coordinated as well with local law enforcement agencies, as well as the local government units who are monitoring their
Mm-hmm.
specific areas, doing security assessments and improvements in their specific shorelines, in their specific areas, because they are more they have the capacity to be able to
Mm-hmm.
secure their respective areas. Immigration has people, or immigration has individuals placed in formal ports like airports
Mm-hmm.
and formal seaports, but not in private resorts or private airstrips. That's why we really need the help and assistance of the local government units and local law enforcement agencies. I think this is being tackled by our lawmakers to have a
Yeah.
comprehensive action, a
Mm-hmm.
whole of nation approach in addressing this issue. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, all countries in the world have illegal migrants. Even the US has people who cross the border illegally, but there is a collective action.
Mm-hmm.
There, each agency has their own taskings when controlling or protecting their borders. And I think it's really good that this is being highlighted already,
Mm-hmm.
so that the appropriate collective action may be implemented. One thing that we have proposed is to penalize people, Filipinos who will be leaving the country illegally, because when
Mm-hmm.
our legal team, our legal experts reviewed the laws of our country, there were no specific penalties or
Mm-hmm.
sanctions or any punitive action on Filipinos who leave the country illegally.
Mm-hmm.
It's if they don't have a whole departure order, if they don't have anything, there's no legal sanction to that. They might fall under a different law, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe falsification or whatever
All right.
related law. But specifically on the action of leaving the country illegally, there's no law on that. So that's one thing that we are also proposing and highlighting
Mm-hmm.
during the investigations, during the discussions by our lawmakers.
Okay.
That's one thing that could be maybe studied to be able to help solve this national security problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I would like to add to that because yeah, you mentioned there is no specific a penalty for that for those individuals who are exiting or entering the country illegally. But how about those Filipinos, other Filipinos that are just seeking greener opportunities to other countries? How they
Jerome,
will be
if
treated?
yeah, if they are leaving the country through illegal means, whether it be through these informal ports or through our airports, attempting to be regular tourists or pretending to be rather regular tourists, and leaving the country to work abroad, we treat them as victims. We don't treat them as
Okay,
perpetrators, because they will
all right.
not be able to devise such schemes without the assistance of their recruiters. Because normally, from what we have observed, with the ones that we have intercepted and the ones that have been repatriated to the Philippines, it's really the recruiters who does all the planning. Most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
all their documentation, all their stories are just given to them right before they leave the country. So
Mm-hmm.
at the entrance of the airport, right before check-in, that is only the time when they will see their documents, when they will receive the script or story that they would have to
Mm-hmm.
say to immigration, to all the authorities, to pretend that they are tourists. But the person that we believe is more liable and that we see is more liable here are the recruiters, and these are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that
Okay.
have to be penalized, and not the victims, who are the ones that are leaving.
Okay. So, in short, Miss Dana, they will not be subject to like a punishment or, yeah, yeah. Is that correct?
For human trafficking victims, we do not
Okay.
penalize them. We do
Penalized.
not
Okay.
file cases against them,
Okay.
unless, of course, there are other violations that might be found, like violation of the Passport Act, maybe. Then there might be action, but it would not be coming from the Bureau of Immigration.
Okay.
It would be coming from a different government agency. But
Okay.
as far as the Bureau of Immigration is concerned, if we see that they have been trafficked, they have been tricked and victimized to leave the country and made to agree to terms set by their recruiter, then we see them as victims.
Okay, I see. Okay, on another issue, Miss Dana. So, can you tell us the initiatives and effort of the bureau in modernizing the its processes? For example, applying for tourist visas, student visas, work visa, permanent resident visa, and so on. So, what are those initiatives? That's for sure. That's going to make a contribution to economic and national development. So, what are those initiatives?
Well, the move really of the Bureau of Immigration now, up until the next few years, is really to make our systems electronic already, to make things faster and more modern.
Mm, mm-hmm,
We're thankful to the national government for giving us budget to be able to procure the necessary equipment. We
mm-hmm,
are in the process of procuring more electronic gates, more technologies for our counters, because we see that these gates, these machinery would allow for faster and more secure processing
mm-hmm,
of travelers at the airports. In a way, we want to remove the human aspect of it
mm-hmm,
in terms of the regular processing of passengers to make things faster and place our people in areas where they are more needed, like for secondary inspection, for document analysis, for
mm-hmm,
data review. Those are areas wherein our people could be better utilized than doing the manual, consider it manual labor,
mm,
the of
yeah,
stamping
mm-hmm,
passports, which can be done electronically.
electronic.
Apart from that, Jerome, we have initiated efforts to have online services. We have our e-services website,
Mm-hmm,
e-services.immigration.gov.ph, wherein people can apply for their immigration needs online. They can have their
mm-hmm,
basic initial tourist visa extension. They can now apply. The other day, we just launched the student visa application and the
mm,
special study permit application. So it's easier, and at the same time it's more secure, because, like, example,
mm-hmm,
for the student visas, the portal is linked directly to the portal of the school. So there, it eliminates, number one, the paperwork and the opportunity to fake those paperworks, because the
mm-hmm,
documentation would be coming directly from
mm-hmm,
the portal of the school. So it's more secure and at the same time more efficient and
mm-hmm.
faster.
Okay, and the data privacy is in place in this process, Miss Dana.
Yes, definitely. The data that we have is collected internally. So the system is built by our IT team at immigration. So
Okay.
there's no third party
Mm-hmm.
individual or company that holds the data here.
Okay, and mentioning this issue, Miss Dana. So, is the offloading issue will be addressed in this modernization efforts of the bureau?
Yeah, we think so. I think a lot of issues will
It
be
became a hot
addressed
topic
because it
then.
yeah, it a lot of issues would be addressed by modernization, because it removes the human aspect. So there's no more person-to-person contact. Only if there is something suspicious, only if there's a red flag, only if there is a derogatory record, will our immigration officers intercede and further inspect the individual. It's very similar to the
Mm-mm.
procedures that are being done by other countries. It's the machine that does the regular processing. If there's something off, there's a red flag, that's only when the immigration officer comes in and interviews or checks the documentation of the individual. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, number one, it will remove
Yeah.
corruption.
Yeah.
It will
Mm.
minimize corruption. It will eliminate the opportunities for corruption. And
Mm.
of course, it will remove those unnecessary requirements that some believe that are being imposed by some immigration
Mm.
officers. I think it will
Mm.
streamline more the travel of passengers, rather, at the airports.
Okay, and that will help the national government to address the corruption issues at the same time streamlining online services of the national government.
Yeah, I think it's a really good project, and
Mm.
it's what other countries are doing as well. We have recently attended a tech forum with the International Civil Aviation Authority
Mm-hmm.
organization rather in Montreal, Canada, and that's where they were um, showcasing the different technologies
Okay.
of country immigration agencies in different countries worldwide. So we saw a lot of things that we would be needing to emulate. We
Mm-hmm.
want to emulate,
Yeah.
copy, and also implement
Implement their
in
best
our country
practices.
to yes,
Okay.
best practices to improve our systems,
System.
and that's what we are doing right now. We
Okay.
are in the process of procuring electronic gates to make things faster.
Okay. I'm afraid we have out of time here, Miss Dana. But I would like to ask this last question. So let's talk about the amendment to Philippine Immigration Act, which is, I believe this is one of the LEDAC priority bills. But we don't have information yet if this is being pushed through. As of now, I think we don't have much time. I think the Congress don't have much time to tackle that bill, but this is included under LEDAC priority bills. So, how does this measure empower the Bureau in carrying out its duty once this amendment on Philippine Immigration Act?
Yes, we're thankful that it's a priority bill considered by LEDAC and the national government and the president. And it's a really old law. Our law has
Mm-hmm.
been here since
1940s.
1940,
So it's
the
an 84-year-old law.
1940s. Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
there were really no airplanes yet in the 1940s. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that old. There were no
It's
international
developing
flights.
that time.
Yes, it was just domestic flights back then in the
Yeah.
Philippines, but
Mm-mm.
no international flights yet. So most of the international travel then was done by ships. So it's a very old law. A lot of its contents are so outdated already and and very inappropriate for modern times.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-mm.
why improving it or changing it will give more teeth to Philippine immigration law. Just imagine, Jerome,
Mm-mm.
carrying an illegal alien, an aircraft carries an illegal alien to enter the Philippines is only charged 500 pesos as penalty. Just
Okay.
imagine that. It's more expensive or it's more, the penalties for
Mm-mm.
driving without a seatbelt is much more than
Mm-hmm.
bringing an illegal alien inside the country. It's very ridiculous. It's not a deterrent anymore. That's why
Mm-hmm.
it's necessary already to update this very old law for it to give more teeth to our the implementation of our policies and be a good deterrent to illegal aliens who might attempt to enter the Philippines.
Okay, and it will be a lot stiffer this time if this amendment to Philippine Immigration Act is enacted.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, all right, and with that, thank you so much, Miss Dana Sandoval, the spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration, for joining us in the
Hello.
program.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share updates and information about the Bureau of Immigration. Thank you and good day.
That was the spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration, Miss Dana Sandoval. And that concludes this edition of Front and Center here on Radio Pilipinas World Service. Together with Win Peñano and Milo Janela, this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Join us again here on Front and Center. Mabuhay and love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radio Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.